Welcome to the Research Like a Pro question and answer series. And today we have a really good question from our study group. It's about citing Irish databases with images. And these Irish databases can be challenging. So it will be fun to go through them and talk about different ways to cite them. So here's the question. The first question, there's several questions about Irish databases, and the first one has to do with layered citations. And typically, a layered citation refers to the time when you have a database that you've searched, you find an entry, and then there's an image that goes along with that entry. So you usually need to cite the record in the image in one layer, and then how you've accessed it from a website in another layer, and sometimes a third layer that shows where the original information is located. So on layered citations, the question says, how do you enter a record into the research log and formulate the source citation when using an online database like irishgenealogy.ie? For example, the baptism of Michael Fitzgerald. It's found at several other databases as well, most linking to the image of the original parish register at the National Library of Ireland. So let's start with this database, irishgenealogy.ie, which is a free website. And this particular baptism does not have an image of the original register. So this one just has a transcription, so it's a derivative. And you can see here at the top, it says the area is Kerry, RC, which indicates Roman Catholic. Then we have the parish, church / congregation is listed as Fieries. And then it has the baptism of Michael Fitzgerald of Molahif on 24 July 1852. And then it estimates that his date of birth was the same day, but that was actually the date of his baptism, so probably not the day of his birth. His address, Molahif, father, Michael Fitzgerald, mother, Mary Sullivan. And then we have the child's denomination, RC for Roman Catholic, the father's occupation, and R probably means not recorded. Sponsor one, Gerald Keller, and then it gives another sponsor. So if we were going to cite this and we didn't have anything else, how would we cite this? Well, going to Evidence Explained, the fourth edition by Elizabeth Shown Mills, on page 121, she has a template for a complex website, which is a website that has multiple articles or databases. I chose this one because going back to irishgenealogy.ie, this website has multiple databases. The first one here that we're looking in is church records. Then there's also civil records. And there's some other articles and sections of the website about news, useful links, and research. And so we are working within this particular database of church records. So that's why I thought template 5 would be a good option. We're going to be citing the website and the name of the database we're using within it. So within Elizabeth Shown Mills' book, for template 5, she has a table like this, and it has the building blocks for the citation that answer the who, the what, the when, the where is, and the where in. And these are the names of the building blocks that she uses. And so we're going to go through each of these. So first we have the creator, and the creator of the irishgenealogy.ie website is a branch of the Irish government called the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts, Gaeltacht, Sports, and Media. Then the title of the database that we're using is the Church Records database. Then sometimes you can add a descriptor, and I might even change this to say database without images. And that's actually the example that she uses in template 5 is a database that doesn't have images. Then the website title is in italics. That's going to be irishgenealogy.ie. And then the where question, the answer to that is the URL. So I put in the specific URL that takes me to this page showing the transcription of Michael Fitzgerald's baptism. It's always my preference to use the full URL that takes you to the exact item of interest if possible. And so that's why I've included the full thing there. Then the access date, and that's the date that we access the database. And then the specific item Michael Fitzgerald, baptized July 24th, 1852, in Ferries County, Kerry. And then the descriptor. Now, this is another layer, and this layer is the citing or location layer. And that layer just shows what the website is citing as their source. So we don't really know exactly what this indicates, but this is what on this website, if I scroll down at the bottom, it gives that information about the source of their information. So that's the citing layer. So this is how the citation turns out when you put all of these building blocks together. And you can see that the first layer is all information from the database. And then the second layer is the citing layer, which tells us where the website got its information. Now, the question continues about this baptism for Michael Fitzgerald that, the other databases that have this link to the image of the original parish register at the National Library of Ireland. So let's practice citing that now. So going forward, there's another website, rootsireland.ie. I don't subscribe to that, and it does require a subscription, so I wasn't able to see, but this is the link that goes to it, and it gives a link to the image at the National Archives of Ireland. Then this is the image at the National Library of Ireland, and by filtering, it takes you to baptisms 1852 July. Then once you add those filters, it takes you to the exact page for Michael Fitzgerald's baptism. So it doesn't give a page number on this page or on the image group. It doesn't say the page number here. So part of the question is now, how do I make a layered citation for this when the image is in a different place than Roots Ireland, which is the database where it was found, and also noting that Find My Past links to the same image. So it's a complicated question, and let's go to Find My Past to see what that one looks like. I do have a subscription at Find My Past, so I was able to see the information better. So Find My Past has this transcript of Michael's record, and it provides this View Original Record link here, as well as the link to the National Library of Ireland register. So clicking on this link, it takes us back to the National Library of Ireland, and it takes us to this first page of the microfilm. And then we could do the same filtering again to get back to the right page that had Michael on it by filtering to baptism 1852 and July. But what if we go back to this Find My Past page and click View Original Record? Does that take us to the same exact website at the National Library of Ireland? Trying that link takes us to a Find My Past image viewer, and this one is a lot easier to navigate. Not only does it take us exactly to the page in the register that has Michael's baptism, but it also tells us what page number we're looking at and how many images there are, which is very useful for making a citation. So I really like this image viewer a lot better than the one at the National Library of Ireland. Now, we have seen this record at multiple databases, so let's go over each one and then we'll decide which one is the best, and then we'll go ahead and cite the best one. So the first one we looked at had no image, and no subscription was needed, so that's a bonus, so it's free, but there's no image, so that's a strike against that one. Roots Ireland does link to the National Library of Ireland for the image, but it also requires a subscription. So depending on your audience, who you're writing for, and in a study group format, or when you're planning to share with others, it's helpful for people who don't have a subscription to be able to see the image. Find My Past does have the image with the image number and that nice viewer, but also requires a subscription. The National Library of Ireland does have the image, and no subscription is needed, and you can filter to the exact page. So this is probably the best one to cite. So you can choose, it's your preference, which one you want to cite in your research log. You may want to create two entries that include one of the other databases, since the National Library of Ireland doesn't have the database to search through, it just has the images. So I would maybe create as an entry in my research log for at least one of the databases, probably the free one, and then the National Library of Ireland. Okay, when we go to the National Library of Ireland, in order to cite this, we really do need to figure out how the pagination works. And what I noticed is that you can scroll down through the microfilm as if it were pages in a book. And the easier way to do that we already showed is by filtering by baptisms, then the year 1852, and then the date July. But if we wanted to know the exact page number, which is sometimes easier to cite, how can we do that? Well, as I scrolled through and played with the filter, I noticed that in the URL, this part of the URL changed every time I went to a different page. So right now it says page/1. And then when I go to the actual page where Michael's baptism is located, right here, this part of the URL changes to page 165. So I can use this exact URL in my citation and the information that's in the URL, page 165, to let people know that that's the page they need to go to. We probably will also want to let the people know in the citation that they need to filter to baptisms 1852 and July. When creating a citation for the National Library of Ireland, I remembered that I had read an article in the NGSQ that cited this image provider as well. So I wanted to see how those citations were formatted. So I went to the NGSQ article that used the National Library of Ireland just to see and get some ideas for how this is cited, because I didn't see an example of this cited in Evidence Explained. Well, in Mary Kircher Roddy's article, John C. Ahern, aka John Loughran of Sonoma and Alameda Counties, California, who were his parents. This was from September of 2019. In this, she uses the database title, Catholic Parish Registers at the NLI in quotes, and then the National Library of Ireland is the name of the website in italics, and then gives the URL going to the exact page, page 60, and then gives the parish, the county, Ireland, the diocese, and then lists that it's the baptism and gives kind of all of the information all in one big layer for the website. So the information about the person being baptized was given at the end of that layer as kind of the item of interest. Then there's one more layer showing where the original information came from, microfilm and National Library of Ireland. And then in a subsequent footnote to the same image provider, it follows a very similar format, but doesn't spell out the National Library of Ireland anymore. It just gives NLA. So that gives us some great ideas. So to follow that style of citation, we would have the following building blocks. The creator, which is the National Library of Ireland, and they created these images. And then we don't have to include this as the creator because it's the same as the website title. So we can just cite the website title, just like in the NGSQ citation. So first we have Catholic Parish Registers at the NLI. Now just going back to the website, you can see that the National Library of Ireland has this logo or title for this page, but the National Library of Ireland, if you go to its homepage, has multiple parts of a website. This is not the only part of the website. This is just one database within the NLI. So that's why we're citing it like this, with this in quotation marks, because this is just one database that we're using within a larger site. Then we have the specific URL going to page 165, the access date, and then the details about the specific item. So following the way Mary Kircher Roddy did it, we can put the parish, the county, Ireland, the diocese, baptisms, the date of the baptisms. Now going back to the very first image, this image is really important because it gives us the information about the parish register. It tells us the name of the parish and the diocese, that it's baptisms, and the dates that it includes. So this is kind of like the book information. What is this register about? So we include that in our specific item information. Then the last layer is the location or citing layer. And so these images come from the National Library of Ireland in Dublin and microfilm 04267/04. So that's the website's stated source for those images, and that's why we want to include them in our citing layer. Putting that all together, here's what our citation would look like. So that takes us to the image. Just clicking this link will take us to the exact image. And this part of the citation tells us what we're looking for within that image. Tells us we're looking for the baptism of Michael Fitzgerald. Now, there's another way we could make the citation, and the way that you might want to do it is by using Evidence Explained, 4th edition, template 10, which is an online image with a named database. And this is template 10. And so we have the creator, and we have actually, let's talk about each layer because this is going to be a 3-layer citation: the record layer, the access layer, the website that we accessed the image through, and then the location or the citing layer. So the first question in the first record layer is who the creator was. And so the creator of that actual parish register is the parish, Molahif and Eglis Firies Parish. Then the title of that parish register was Baptisms, and then it gave the dates on the first page of it. And then the descriptor, sometimes you need a descriptor for the title, and we do in this case because we need to know more about who created it. And we could put this in the creator as well, or we could put it after. But I put it as a descriptor: County Kerry, Ireland, Diocese of Kerry. The specific item is page 165, and the descriptor for that specific item is Michael Fitzgerald, and the date is July 24th, 1852. If we have gone to the National Library of Ireland and viewed the parish register actual book, this is what we would create for our citation. But because we accessed it online as an image, we need to provide in our citation how we accessed it and show that layer. So in Evidence Explained, one of the building blocks is this bridge between layers, and usually it's showing what type of item you viewed, and we viewed an image. The creator is the National Library of Ireland, but we're going to omit this because it's the same as the website title. The title of the database is Catholic Parish Registers at the NLI. The title of the website is National Library of Ireland. The URL is this. The date we accessed it, October 15th. And then in Evidence Explained, it gives the possibility of including the path to the specific item. And since it was a little bit unique to get there, I thought we should include that with waypoints. So we can put baptisms, 1852, and July. And that would hopefully help people see that that's how you filter it. To be even more specific, we can even add the word filter, and then we could put baptisms, 1852, and July. Last layer is the location or citing layer, which is the National Library of Ireland and the microfilm number. Putting that all together, this is what our citation would look like. And this one is similar in length to the NGSQ style citation, and maybe a little bit longer, but both of them are acceptable and give plenty of information to get back to the original image. Like I said earlier, I would probably include the citation to the image as well as one of the databases in my research log, because the database at the National Library of Ireland isn't like a searchable one where you can search with a name. And so you have to use one of those databases first. So I would probably want to keep track of that in my research log. The next Irish database that we're going to talk about is Griffiths Valuations at Ask About Ireland. And for this site, the question was about who was the author or creator of this site. And so you need to know that in order to create the citation. And sometimes if you can't figure out the exact person or like government that created the website, you can just leave that off and cite the name of the website, and that will be good enough. looking at the bottom of this page, it does give some valuable information about the fact that Griffiths valuation material on this website is copyright of OMS Services, Enniclan Ltd, and the National Library of Ireland. So that makes me think that the creator of this site was these companies in collaboration with the National Library of Ireland. When we look up Michael Fitzgerald on Ask About Ireland in the Griffiths Valuation database, what we find are two entries for Michael Fitzgerald, and clicking on the original page link, the icon for the page, takes us to this pop-up of the actual image of the Griffiths Valuation book. And you can zoom in and see there's actually two Michael Fitzgeralds on this page. One of them is Michael Fitzgerald Jr., and they're both residing in the same townland. If you were going to cite just this image, this is how you might do it. And if you go to Evidence Explained 3rd edition, there is a discussion of how to cite Griffiths valuation in 11.63, and the 4th edition of Evidence Explained, if you go to section 12.60, then you'll see a discussion of that. And originally, in the 3rd edition, it talks about using the origins.net database for Griffiths valuation, but that was since purchased or brought into Find My Past, and that's what's discussed in the 4th edition's Find My Past. And so Find My Past database includes Griffiths valuation, but my subscription doesn't include that, unfortunately. So I thought I would write a citation using template number 5 from the 4th edition that is a database with the example in template 5 is a database without images, but this one is a database with images. And if this was all I was citing, was just this one image page from Griffiths, here's how I would cite it. So the database name is Griffiths Valuation. It's a database with images on the website Ask About Ireland, and the URL for that database there. And then I just put the search terms, Michael Fitzgerald, County Kerry, and Mullahiff Parish. Then as the location, I put citing OMS Services Ltd, Enniclan Ltd, and the National Library of Ireland. So that last layer there is the citing layer or the location layer. Now, if we wanted to follow Evidence Explained and actually cite the volume of Griffiths valuation and put the full title and all of that, which includes a lot more detail about the time and place and what this publication was, then we would need to go to the first image. And in order to do that, we need to really figure out the different page numbers within this publication. So clicking on the document image takes us to the exact page with our person on it, but we need to go to the very first page of that image of the book to be able to see the title page. And the way that you do it is by going to the URL and changing this one little part of the URL to 001, and that takes you to the title page. And this is really tricky to do, and at first I couldn't figure it out, but this is how you do it. So you right click or control click on original page, then open in a new tab. This enables you to see the full URL. Once you've got that full URL showing, when you change the page by clicking previous page or next page, you'll see that this one 3-digit part of the URL changes. So when I press next page, it changes from 153 to 154. And if you want to go to the very first page, you have to delete 153 and type in 001 right there. Press enter, and then that takes you to this page, which is the title page for that volume of Griffiths Valuation. So now I have the full title of the volume, which is General Valuation of Rateable Property in Ireland and County Kerry, Barony of Magunaghy, valuation of the several tenements comprising that portion of the Union of Killarney situated in the barony above named. And then it has the author, Richard Griffith. And then it also has the publication information down below. So the dates and the people or the office of the government that published it. So you can include that in your citation. So in Evidence Explained, it gives kind of some ideas for how to cite this. So following that, I created the following citation. Richard Griffith, who is the creator of the volume, and then the title, but the title is so long that instead of putting the full title, Elizabeth Shown Mills shows in Evidence Explained that you can use 3 dots to skip to the important parts of the title. So general valuation of rateable property in Ireland, Union of Killarney, County of Kerry. So um, the publication information is Dublin, and then Her Majesty's Stationery Office in 1863. Then the page number is 141, and then the specific item of interest is Michael Fitzgerald, occupier, Castle Farm, which is a townland, Mullahiff, which is a parish. And Elizabeth Shown Mills recommended putting those jurisdictions in parentheses so that people would know. And I liked that idea a lot because there were a lot of jurisdictions mentioned here. We have the Union of Killarney, the County of Kerry, the Castle Farm townland, and the Mullahiff parish. So including all of that will help someone get back to this exact place and also understand the place where Michael Fitzgerald lived. And then the next layer is the access layer. So where did I access this online? And it was accessed at the website Ask About Ireland, which is in italics. And then the database is in quotation marks, Griffith's valuation. And then the URL with the exact page that has Michael Fitzgerald on it. And then the last layer, which is the source of the source, the citing layer, where did the website get its information, citing OMS Services, Enniclan Ltd, and the National Library of Ireland. So this citation is the one that I would use. This is preferable over the previous one that just focused on the database alone. I like this one because it gives all of the jurisdiction information and it gives the full title of the publication of the book. Well, not the full title, but much of the title, what you need in order to understand what part of the book it was, and also when it was published. So 1863 was the year of this one. So this is really helpful to not only understand the source, but to help the person get back to the source. In conclusion, Irish databases online can be very challenging to cite, and this is complicated by the fact that there are often multiple websites available to view the same source, so that can complicate things. Ultimately, you'll want to cite the place where you viewed the image, and that will be the one that you want to put into your report or whatever you're sharing. But in your own research log, it will probably be useful to go ahead and keep both the database and the image provider in your research log if there were more than one. And you don't need all of them, but you probably at least need one of the databases and the image provider. And the biggest takeaway here is that there are multiple ways to cite a source and still be correct. And I put that in quotation marks because there is no correct one way to cite a source. There's multiple ways to do it, and it's your choice. And as long as you're clear and someone can get back to the image and understand the source, then you've done a good job with it. So remember to make your citations clear and help others return to the source and not fuss over getting it correct. I hope this was helpful, and good luck with citing all of your Irish databases in the future.